Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream scene. I hope you guys are doing well this week. We've got a really awesome episode for you guys today, sponsored by Elgato. We are going to be going in on the new Elgato Wave, talking all about it, answering any questions you guys might have. And we'll be talking, I'm sure, about some other Elgato products too while we're here. So big thanks to Elgato for partnering with StreamerSquare. We've got a ton of giveaways for you guys over the next few weeks on our live shows. So if you guys enjoy this, make sure to follow, and you could win some really cool Elgato stuff. But before we get started, let's do some introductions. Hunter, my lovely co-host, how are you doing today? What's up? How's it going?
Pretty fantastically. I have gotten such a great refresh over the last few days, which Lord knows we all needed.
Yeah.
Back at it, full sprint today with this show, with the incomparable Steggy, who I'm really excited to have on the show. Steggy, why don't you introduce yourselves to all of our lovely viewers?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Steggy. I'm one of the marketing leads at Elgato. It's weird. I'm kind of in a transitionary stage right now, but I have been running our entire community team, so all of our social channels, and I also do our YouTube tutorials. So you might recognize my face if you've ever had a question about your Elgato product. But then I also. Thank you. I appreciate that. I could use that today. But yeah, I've actually been transitioning more onto the product side of things, just for product management and stuff like that. So a couple different hats, but I'm kind of mid move there. But yeah, I am Elgato, or from Elgato.
You are Elgato.
I am the gato.
So we're here today to talk about the Wave that you guys launched, 2 new microphones and some software. Why don't you tell us, for those who may not have heard about this announcement, what you've got for us?
Yeah, brief rundown.
So I'll just hold up the 2 here. So right here is the Elgato Wave 1 microphone, and then this is the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. So for USD, this is $129.99. This is $159.99. And so these are USB microphones that are optimized for streamers. But they're a little bit more than microphones. What we've kind of the easiest way to put it is it's sort of like your microphone and your audio mixer all in one, because a lot of streamers have been using kind of co-opting these setups from the professional broadcasting space or music space, because there haven't been products specifically made for content creators that are one-man show in their bedroom or office, and so they're kind of overly complicated, and there's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong there, and more or less they're often very expensive. And so our concept with this was if you look at an audio mixer specifically, the entire point of an audio mixer, at its core, is to route all of your audio through its little inputs at the top. So you have these faders at the bottom that give you more manual control over your audio. So you know what you're listening to, what your audience is listening to. But if you think about how a streaming setup works, all of your audio sort of feeds into your computer anyways. The HDMI audio goes into a capture card that's, in USB over your computer, or a microphone going into your computer via USB. And so the concept was to create this software that basically allowed you to take in those sources, from either the hardware level or software level, like your Chrome browser or your Spotify. But then the real important part is giving you 2 volume dials, or otherwise known as submixes, which means you'd have an independent control for what you're listening to and an independent control for what your stream listens to. Because
that is awesome.
Yeah, because I know myself, because I stream every once in a while, that when I've used desktop audio monitoring and OBS, there are a lot of times where I would find the game audio too low, and so I would turn it up, and then the stream would be it's way too loud right now.
Yep.
But because my levels and their levels were linked, it was really hard to find that good mix. But now that we have those 2 independent channels in our software, this really addresses that problem, which a lot of people have found to be a pretty big game changer.
Right. And I feel especially as the production levels of streaming has risen over time, having that control, that specific control of which audio tracks you can change, and also just doing it in a way that's like super user friendly, right? Like I am not an audiophile. Audio is like always a mystery to me. So having something that's very easy to manage is huge when we already have so much going on as streamers, right? Like there's already so many things to think about, especially while you're streaming. Like you're running production on the fly. You don't have time to like decipher what what knob does what, right?
Exactly. And that's sort of been our philosophy for the past few years since we had introduced Stream Deck, to basically, one, Stream Deck kind of simplifies all of the controls on your stream with like a very glanceable, legible LCD display button or key, whatever. And our kind of goal with these new products we've been making is integrating that within Stream Deck. So it is your all-in-one controller for everything. So with this software, while we don't have like the big mixer that sits on your desk, which a lot of people are thankful for because, not everybody's got, the biggest desk in the world. You can put your audio controls right on Stream Deck so you can increase your game channel or decrease it, or, mute a certain output, etc. And so it makes it not only like helps people just in audio, but if you have a Stream Deck, it makes Stream Deck a much more capable product in itself. And we're just trying to make everything easy.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about this too is, and I am incredibly well versed in this one, with this microphone and the software, you have the bare minimum number of pieces to your audio setup, which means fewer that it decreases the likelihood that something will go wrong, and it increases the likelihood that you'll be able to troubleshoot it or pinpoint any issues that you may be having, because you only have a couple of pieces. You only have one piece of hardware that's like necessary for it, and then one piece of software. With the intensity of my setup, anytime a tiny little thing goes wrong, I spend 3 days trying to pinpoint the exact issue. This minimizes that dramatically. Big fan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with with different setups before, because we've been aware of this with PS4, because PS4 has this like weird audio problem where it disables HDMI audio if you have a headset plugged into the controller. So we came out with this cable called the Chatlink cable, but we kind of realized how finicky analog audio could be because like a PlayStation is ungrounded while a computer is grounded. So when you're using that little cable in your setup, some people will be like, oh, I have like a background buzz or whatever. And, that happens with any kind of analog setup, no matter how much you spend. So like you could, pay, $400 for an XLR microphone, and you might think like that's the end of it. But then you're like, oh, wait, now I need a cloud lifter. Oh, wait, I need clean power because like my house is like older. So I need, I have dirty power. Or I need like the hum destroyers, etc. And, they're very quickly adds up to be like, a laundry list of extra things you need for these minor differences. You know what I mean? Like when you're like recording music for an album, or for film, obviously the ceiling of audio that exists really exists for that purpose. But for like YouTube and live streaming, Twitch specifically, it's kind of a long walk for a short drink of water. The more complicated you go.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, like I kept my setup super simple for years. Like I only went to like a higher professional grade microphone with like a physical mixer in the last year and a half because I was way too overwhelmed to even try to get into all that. So I really like the fact that you have like the Wavelink software. It's all digital. It's very it's super user friendly. So what microphone are you using now? Which one? The Wave 1 or 3?
This is the Wave 3. So, I mean, the thing to know about these microphones is inside they're almost exactly the same. This one supports a higher sample rate, 96 kilohertz versus the 48 that the Wave 1 does. Other than that, you're going to get the same. It's the same capsule. So, especially if you have like a Stream Deck and you plan on doing most of your control through Stream Deck or through the software, you can save yourself $30 with the Wave 1 because you're going to get that same quality. The thing that's really cool about the Wave 3 for me specifically, which is why I like using it, is the capacitive mute button at the top. So I can just
You're muted, by the way.
See, you didn't hear that. Exactly, because I touched it. But you don't hear me unmuting and muting it. And it's also kind of cool because, like, let's say you're an arts, like Hunter, you were just saying that you paint, right? Imagine you have paint on your hands that you don't want to get on your equipment. You can actually hit the capacitive mute button with your elbow and it'll still work. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to mute something, your hands are full or they're messy, you still have that option.
Now, I do get paint on my elbows too, but I assume I can use a toe or possibly a knee.
Exactly.
I want to see that on stream, that type of acrobatics to mute your mic without getting paint on it.
I remember we had this was a couple years ago. We had worked with this YouTuber named Sophie Dossi. She was on America's Got Talent. She's a contortionist. Because we were doing a video on like how easy it is to use like Elgato green screen. And so she would like set it up without using her hands. So basically she would like flip her entire body around and use her foot to grab the green screen and lift it up. It's nuts. It's on our YouTube channel. And I just like kind of imagine like the weird ways that some people could decide to like control their microphone because it's that easy,
Yeah, I actually feel like I have like a live demo for Elgato products on my stream because I transition between green screen and not depending on the type of content I'm covering. So like if I'm doing a React video to like a game trailer or something, I'll flip from this like natural chilling setting to like green screen. I throw it up, my Elgato lights, I have like a button, so I just kind of transition to like a brighter setting for the green screen, and then when I'm back to this, I just like, hit a button, chill out. Like I have like this whole demonstration that takes like literally 2 things to like just transition my entire stream setup.
Yeah, I mean, there are those times where you want a green screen and times where you don't. Like for sure. I mean, my office has gone through a couple of iterations. It's still not perfect. Like I can't paint in here, so like I have just like gray seamless paper. That's why it looks a little warpy right there.
Yeah.
But like I used to film stuff right against that and it wasn't really an issue. And even then I don't really mind it too much. But it's like as you cultivate the background and kind of show off your personality, we aren't trying to like convert everybody into using a green screen. It's just like, if you are, wouldn't you want to use one that like doesn't cause a lot of heartache trying to set up or tear down? Or
right.
I remember one of the original founders of Beam, he had gotten one of those like pop-up ones. And he was opening it up on stream, but like it was like unlatched, and so it popped up like in his face and like knocked him off his chair. Like,
I think I saw that.
We may have tweeted it out. We were like, "Hey, can we share this because it's hilarious?"
That is amazing. So the Wavelink, is that already synced up with the Stream Deck? Like, what kind of synchronizations do you have with that?
Let me see if I can undo. I try to have this cable management on my desk, but it doesn't give me the biggest latitude when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I have a weird looking Stream Deck right now because a user Vest Design sent me this really cool faceplate with like a missile cover.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I love it. And so this is basically the profile that Stream Deck ships with. Basically, if like once you have like Wavelink and it's like, oh, here's like a Wavelink profile that's already made for you. And so you have your master volume for your stream mix and your monitor mix. And then these are all folders that go into your different sub mixes, basically. And so you have like your music here. I can't really see the icons like through my monitor, but then you can also page left and right, because you can do up to I believe 9 channels total, one of them being the Wave microphone. So you have so basically you just page through each one and you can control each channel like that. You're also obviously able to do your own customized like drag bring the volume up action or mute action, whatever. So you can customize your own layout. But what's kind of cool about that one is it updates itself as you update Wavelink. So if I add like a third channel to my Wavelink, because right now I don't have too many, for this, but it'll automatically fetch that into that Stream Deck profile. So like it's pretty automatic, because we're trying to just like remove that friction from the setup even, because like even Stream Deck, like it makes everything super easy, but like when you first get it, obviously it takes you a little bit of time first thinking the actions you want on there, putting them on there, and then like, do you want to make a custom icon, because that's its own layer of I wouldn't say like difficulty, but it's more work of setup. And so luckily, there are people like Nerd or Die or VBI who make like really great looking Stream Deck icons that you can like customize your stuff more. But yeah, we're always looking to improve the streamer experience, even with our own products. And that's really what's amazing about Wavelink, because it's software based. We actually just tweeted out a quote from a reviewer. Whereas like, because Wavelink is software, it means that it can be improved with updates. The same as Stream Deck. If you bought a Stream Deck day one, it is vastly different to what it is now. But if you bought that Stream Deck day one, you still have the same Stream Deck as somebody who bought theirs yesterday. So you have this product that continues to get better. And that's going to be the same thing with Wavelink. So one of the first things that is on like our product, like I guess roadmap for it, is adding a third output, so you have your monitor, your stream, and then a third output that you could basically set as a mic anywhere. And the thought of that is like Discord, because one of the big requests from our community has been, I want to deafen Discord and I want to mute Discord with Stream Deck, but not with a hotkey. The hotkeys just aren't consistent enough. But the problem is, if Discord doesn't have that API access, if we can't integrate with them, because it's not just like our decision, it's also like Discord securities and their back end and stuff like that, then that kind of limits on what we can do. But if you're using Wavelink as a middleman, if I set my my microphone channel as like a third output on its own, and I add a Wavelink mute source, I can mute my mic to you on Discord or deafen myself from you on Discord. With that direct integration, because that middleman. So like, there are all these things that when you have software, you can add in that, we have a couple of things on our list now that we want to add in. But once more people start using this microphone and they're like, hey, it'd be really cool if this software could do this. That's where the real special stuff comes into play, is like listening to what the community asks and integrating that. And you have that possibility when it's software.
There's a surprising amount of finesse in this design.
Yeah. I mean, and just thinking about like the Stream Deck and how far it has come, like you said, like the number of integrations, and as like new tools, emerge, even tools that Elgato releases themselves, like the key lights, like then they can just add functionality to the Stream Deck, without you having to go and buy a physically new one, right? Like there's no added bells and whistles. Like it's all just within the software itself, which I'm always a fan of. I not having to buy the same thing again.
Yeah, no, we try to avoid that as much as possible, and yeah, I think it's been working great. I mean, obviously we've learned lessons over the years, because like we're not exactly new to this. This is our first foray into audio, and so we wanted to make sure we did it right. And so like with the microphone, we partnered with this audio company called Lewitt Audio, who is basically created about a little over a decade ago from all these ex-AKG guys. If you're familiar with audio, AKG is a pretty big brand, and they've been making really great products for years. And so we partnered with them to build this mic from the ground up, so that the mic itself is great, and then the audio. I mean, like that's what Elgato's been known for the longest time, is like our software that empowers our hardware products. And so the things we learned from Stream Deck are like the advantages, where it's like, look at what we were able to do with Stream Deck because of this, and kind of giving that same treatment to an audio product is what is, obviously we saw the benefits there, and it's like, we can do the same thing here and just make it continually better and better.
So we had a question in chat who someone asked, is there a way to adjust the bass in the software for the mics, also like gain and stuff like that?
So the gain, yes. So right now you can control basically what's on the Wave 3 microphone. So your gain, your headphone output volume, and then the PC mic mix volume. But that's like obviously one of the other like early things that we have on our roadmap, is to add things like, there's not an ETA, but adding things like VSTs or, EQ and stuff like that before but when you're routing it through there. So these are all things that we're kind of aware of. It's just, you kind of have to start somewhere and say, this is the product we can ship with. Otherwise you're going to get into what's called feature creep, where, the Wave microphone doesn't release until, summer 2022. Which who knows what's going to happen there with how 2020 is going right now.
Hey,
so it's
now,
just like,
hey, now,
well
don't talk like that. But so you guys do have a solution to clipping, though. You have clip guard technology. Can you tell us a little bit about
I
that?
was so impressed with that.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing because people kind of equate it to a limiter, and I guess the end result is that, but it's a little bit different in how you get there. So basically, when you have like a USB microphone, you have an analog signal going into an analog to digital converter, and then that spits out the USB. And so what we end up doing is we send two signals to our ADC. And one of them's got a negative 20 dB pad. So basically, we're sending one signal to this chip, and then we're sending a second softer signal to this chip. And basically, the mic just like intelligently shifts between those two channels when it senses you need to. So it adds like a single 1 millisecond delay from like when you speak it to go through this to basically catch those spikes. So then there's never like, because there's some stuff out there where you'll peak for just like that second and then it'll come back down, but we're able to do it so there's never any clipping. And not to say that you couldn't get a compressor and a de-esser and a limiter or whatever, like with all this hardware audio equipment with like an expensive audio setup, but it's expensive and it's hard to set up. So with this,
yeah.
It does the work for you, and all you have to do is check a box to enable it.
Yeah, that is a blessing. I know a lot of streamers, some in this chat, that might need one of these.
Some in this call.
Yeah. But it's almost funny because some streamers, I feel like the clipping of their mic is almost part of their brand. Some of the, I don't want to say like names or anything, but it's like, they'll like just use their headset mic or something and they're always very loud. And it's like, it's part of the comedy, but it's just like, hey, you could still do that, but be a lot clearer now. But at the end of the day, it's just like trying to get people, the best thing that we can do for creators is get the heck out of their way so they can just focus on making their content, whether it's live or it's VOD. Because the last thing you want to do when you're like the on-air talent is spend too much time being the director, especially like during live. Like you want to be there because if you imagine like hey chat, just hold on for like 5 minutes while I troubleshoot this weird thing. That's like everybody's worst nightmare.
That's Hunter's entire stream, I think.
That's my brand.
But then this is also, and like what's worse is like things that might require like the computer restarts or anything like that. I mean, I don't think really audio kind of gets in that territory, but it's that same sort of premise, which is why some streamers, especially once you become a partner and you grow, graduate into like a dual PC setup because, what's worse than saying like, hey chat, wait 5 minutes while I'm troubleshooting this thing is, hey chat, I'm literally going offline for a bit. Because I have to reboot my streaming PC and nobody ever wants to do that. And so that's where people piece that stuff out, like for just a very simple reason, but it has a huge effect on your channel,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know like for me starting out in my first, I think 2 years of streaming, I've been plagued by audio issues for the longest time. Like I started with the headset mic and then went to like a USB mic and I had weird crackling, like it was taking up a lot of CPU. And I think on your website you mentioned the Wavelink is actually not CPU intensive at all, which I know one PC people are concerned about.
Yeah, less than 1% of your CPU usage, so it's really not bad at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah, again, we're just trying to get the heck out of the way. We don't want like super bloated software or anything like that. I know that there's always been like, discussions of like making like a central Elgato app. I know some companies have done this before, but it's like, if you just have one of our products, it's like, some companies will be like, yeah, you got to log in to use, a microphone or a keyboard or something like that because you need to download our 500 megabyte software.
Yeah.
That's got all this other stuff that you're never going to use. And so we try to make our stuff fairly lean just to make even that part a little bit easier as well.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Yeah, the Wave is both Wave mics are USB mics. Are you guys, you're allowed to say? Are you thinking about XLR mics? You think about those the next step?
So the first thing we wanted to focus on is and I guess it's a little different from what our strategy was with Stream Deck, where kind of was a little bit more tailored towards that like upper like the 1% of streamers like who have like these big productions, but basically trickles down to more users who like want to graduate into it, whereas the mics there's so many users that are using like lesser audio setups because there's that huge jump off between like the USB to like XLR variants basically. And with XLR setups, you can obviously get into setups that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. I wouldn't say it's off the table. Like a big big request we've had is things like can we get like the software for free or not for free, but like on its own without like a microphone, because they want to use it for their other pre-existing audio setups and stuff like that. And what our general manager had said on one of our Q&A streams is just like because the Wave microphone actually powers the software to get like really great performance, it is required in order to run that. But that being said, there are future audio products that we can produce that could also power that software. And so you could use your imagination on what type of products there could be out there that could do such a thing. Right now we've just been focused on making this product great and then making the software great, but there is a lot more hardware we could do. But there's a lot of paths too. It's like XLR is certainly a path we could go down, but like I can't make any promises necessarily. Right. But we are always it's like we take in all these suggestions from the community, both like on our Discord, on Twitter, and all that kind of stuff, and everything's kind of like squirreled away and like kind of prioritized based on like our other current projects and stuff like that. But we always kind of consider every side of the dice, I guess, when we're talking about product stuff. So this isn't going to be our last audio product, I guess, is the easiest or is the simplest way I can put it.
Right.
I like that.
I mean, I can't imagine it's not. I mean, considering like just listening to what it sounds like, for the price point and compared to, I've used 2-3 other mics at this price point, and they all have this like, they sound a little like weak. I don't know if that makes sense. Like a little on the tinier side. And I feel like this mic has like a lot more like sturdiness to it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like the other ones are like they're like flat.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of volume to the voice and texture.
Yeah.
This seems to actually like capture really well.
Yeah, I mean part of that's just, working with like with our first steps, it's like just working with a company who knew what they were doing and kind of had that heritage in the space. Like we didn't want to screw around because we know how important audio is. And so and me personally, when it comes to products, I like to kind of pick like be the best at something. For me, there's always like a either you attack the low or you attack the high. The mid is always kind of a little weird. So it's like key light, for example, it's like we want to be the best lighting you can essentially get right now, right? And you can kind of go up and down from there. So it's like it's the same thing with Stream Deck. It's like we made the standard Stream Deck and we wanted to do a mini to make it more accessible to people price wise, but then more people were just like, we want even more buttons. So it's like sometimes we start off at what we think is the top end, and then it's just like then people are like, no, you can go further and we'll still buy it. It's just like, all right, cool. Well, here's 32 keys. You know what I mean? And
that is
so
me
like,
right there.
for this, I was just like, we were all like, we want to make the best USB microphone you could get. And, you come to that realization that to do that, it's not even just about the microphone. It really needs to be like the complete audio package. And that's where the software really comes in,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like as a streamer, as a content creator, that makes perfect sense.
Now, the physical build itself, so I kind of dismantled mine from the stand. I have a surprisingly grand appreciation for how relatively light this microphone is.
It's so small.
It's relatively compact, but the actual weight of the microphone has me impressed for one big reason, which has really come to the fore for me. I don't know if y'all saw my tweet recently of the fix for my microphone boom arm.
Oh no, I haven't.
I had to tape an antler to it. Part of the problem that I have is how much my microphone weighs. Any adjustment that I make to the microphone, because I've had to crank the boom arm so much to make it really tight, it puts so much pressure on certain points of the boom arm. With the lightness of this microphone, that's something that I don't feel like I would have to worry about, and yet it feels like it like there's no popping and cracking when I twist it a little bit, like with like a cheat build would do that. That's not a thing that I'm experiencing here. And that was a concern. I was like, oh my God, it's so light. It can't be sturdy, but it feels entirely sturdy without outweighing what my boom arm should be able to handle and do.
Yeah, it is funny. The one, I guess, detraction that some people have pointed out is like, so if you have like a Rode PSA 1 arm, it can sometimes have issues because the waves are lighter than like the minimum load.
Spring-loaded.
So if you put on the little shock mount like I have, it does add enough weight where it does that. But then also a YouTuber Gaming Careers, he reviewed it and he just tightened the bolts on his mic arm and he was able to do just fine. I do like the lightness though, because it kind of goes flat. This, I don't know if this part comes off the disc or anything like that, but this is relatively easy and like just like pack away if you ever have to travel. And too, I don't know if travel streaming is ever going to be a huge thing, but
one day.
Yeah, but basically, for me, I do like that it's really light. So like right now, I'm actually using this is a $12 mic arm, and it actually works really well. And so like I have the extra things on here and everything, and I actually appreciate how it performs at such a cheap price point, if that makes sense. And I can there's like a little knob here that I can tighten if I need to get more support. And so just like, I don't know, I have like kind of an advanced setup, but I have like the cheapest mic arm in the world and this works great with it. And, and somebody else was mentioning is like the pop filters unnecessary. And so I'll just take this one off right now. So the Wave mics do have an internal pop filter. And so we did a YouTube video where we just kind of compared the internal versus the external. And then we compared it against a popular microphone, the Blue Yeti, which doesn't have any, just so you can like hear like what that difference is between like this microphone and that one. And the difference is pretty stark. So, I'm like right up on this microphone right now. And so hopefully you don't hear any plosives or anything like that. Nope. And if I'll turn off my AC for a bit. I'll probably have to turn it on so I don't get sweaty or anything. But I'm also using, another thing I wanted to say is I've been using RTX voice because I have literally an air conditioner 3 feet away from me that's just like blasting noise. So if I turn off the RTX voice, and it might take a second. Whenever I don't even know if you can hear me. Ooh.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So yeah, my monitor blacked out for a second. That was weird. But anyway, so this is what the microphone sounds like, completely like no filters added to it or anything. I just turned off the AC so you wouldn't have to subject yourself to that background noise. But yeah, so this is what it sounds like with just the internal pop filter, and it's completely usable at this level. I don't even, it's like I might even be able to get away with without the shock thing unless I get really angry and hit my desk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's another point where it's like how well the RTX voice does work with the Wave microphones, because I've been a big fan of it, at least because, there are dynamic microphones that do really well with sound rejection, but the problem is you have to have it very close to your mouth.
Yes.
Like, so Loco's using a Shure SM7B, very popular dynamic mic. With RTX and a condenser microphone, with that enabled, you can get that same performance as far as the sound rejection goes, but I can have the mic all the way over here. I might just crank the gain up a little bit. And I can still, I'm completely out of focus now, but I can still get that noise cancellation of the RTX voice even when it's that far away. So you have a little bit more flexibility there. So I'll just turn this back on because it's already gotten quite warm in here.
That quickly?
This is a very small office actually, and yeah, it like with this computer or whatever, it's always like 80 something degrees in here, and so I did myself the biggest favor in the world and got that, because even our central air doesn't really reach this room that well. So yeah,
I understand the struggle. So
yeah.
You mentioned there's a pop filter, a shock mount. Are there any other accessories that people can pick up with the Wave?
Yes. Trying to figure out where I put them. The problem with working from home, as it were.
I know it.
So basically what we do also have are what's called extension. I guess we'll just have to use our imagination. So basically, this is the standard microphone as it would come with, and so it's yay big off the ground. But we sell extension rods that you basically unscrew the mic, and you can put like 2 more rods on here, and then it'll bring the mic up to that level. So like if you don't want to get a mic arm, it's $10 to get like a little extra height, and that's I guess you could also get a mic arm for that price. But like if you're trying to do that like travel setup, it's a little bit easier to break that down when you're doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the shock mount, and then the pop filter, this guy, which is kind of nice because it's like, there are some.
Oh, you muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
Oops. I guess that's the one problem. Don't touch that top. So there are some like nice like generic options for pop filters that are like good prices, but if you ever see like any other microphones where don't want to I guess I will mention a particular brand like the Blue Yeti. Like if you want the specific like blue shock mount, it's like $80. It's like almost as much as the microphone itself. And so like, I think the shock mount is 40 and then the pop filter is 30. And so really not too bad. And it's a pretty sharp looking setup once it's all put together. But realistically, it's like the mic on its own with that internal pop filter is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about the pop filter is that it just clips on like to both sides of the mic, right?
Yeah, so it comes out from under. I think there.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's any magnets or anything, but
interesting. It just like snaps in place.
Is that easy?
Exactly.
Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Basically, the shock mount takes a little bit more effort with the little screws, but still,
yeah.
It's interesting because when my intro mic was about the same price range. It was like a third of the size bigger. It was massive. At least, and the pop filter for it was I think you like screwed it onto the bottom, and it was like it would just like sag, like it was like it would keep falling. It was like this limpy like metal thing to hold it up, and it would just like kind of fall down over time, or just like fall over on the side. So it wasn't like
that arm, that bendy arm.
Yeah, it was like a little bendy arm,
yeah.
and like wouldn't so it didn't snap to the mic itself. So it just like. It would be like off center and just kind of look sloppy when it like would sag down in the middle of my stream. Like
if you move the mic at all, it's like
it's just like it was sad. It was so sad.
God, I remember like one of my first. I think it was one of my first. I had reviewed it actually because I used to do YouTube way back in the day. But I had like a headphone stand that I'd clipped the mic to because it was like a little clippy mic. And then I had one of those pop filters that had nowhere to go. So I just had to balance it on my desk, and it just like stood straight up. And I'm just like, please don't tip over while I'm doing this.
Oh, how far we've come when we're now looking at everything that this microphone itself actually offers. Like night and day.
Yeah, the options just were not aplenty back then. But, that's why it's like, yeah, exactly. And there's a reason why it's just like most people are kind of aware of Elgato, I guess, as a brand, because when it comes to brands creating products specifically for creators, there's not a whole lot out there. And so there are a couple other guys doing really cool stuff, and all the respect in the world to them. But there's so many opportunities we see with products or services, etc., that like there's so many barriers for a creator just to like make their content. And like I said, our goal is just to get out of their way. So like making products that just, you don't even have to think they exist. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. You're lowering the barrier of entry to create like a solid production without content creation.
Quality, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Like normally when I think about a lot of products, especially harkening back to ye olden days, thinking about a lot of products that were constructed for streamers, I have traditionally expected it to either be incredibly crappy, very low bar, or to be very expensive and incredibly complicated. That was my experience for a decent number of products. This somehow strikes a balance that pushes both of those out of the way, which is another one of the fascinating and surprising it's not too surprising coming out of Elgato, but fascinating and surprising things within the space with this microphone in particular. Frankly, with all of the products that I've experienced, like the Camlink, it's plug and play, and of course the Stream Deck. And speaking of plug and play, this is the absolute most plug and play microphone I have ever used. And I know we were talking about this ahead of time. Steggy is going to avoid using this terminology, but this is the most idiot-proof microphone I have ever seen. Ever.
AKA hunter-proof.
It's me-proof. If I could plug it in and download the software, and it literally just worked right out of the box. No finagling with anything. I didn't have to tweak anything to get it to work. I plugged it in and it just functioned. I have almost never had that happen in my entire illustrious streaming career, ever.
Yeah.
It's absurd how easy this is.
And I mean, it goes with the software too. It's like there are certain software products that you could use where if you know what you're doing, you could maybe get the same effect, but like the level of difficulty, or it's same with Stream Deck. Like we would have when Stream Deck first came out, and when you talk about products in general, where it's like, I think you have like cheap, easy to use, and good quality, and I think it's like pick two or something like that. I think that's generally like the rule that people would have for products. And when Stream Deck first came out, compared to like what it was actually like up against, because we essentially consumerized TriCasters and like broadcasting systems, and we consumerized that down into $150. I would go to this conference called NAB, where like the people who work the back rooms at like the Grammys or Super Bowls, that's the kind of people that would be there buying like professional video equipment. They love the Stream Deck because they're like, this thing costs peanuts, like this is so cheap. But it's like, to somebody who's like a teenager who might just have like a part-time job, it's like, we try to be affordable without like being at like a toy level, because we are trying to make those quality products,
right.
And so sometimes we'll get like, people will comment on our prices a lot, but then, sometimes they're kind of cemented. Like if you look at our green screen, for example, some people kind of looked at us like we were nuts to release like $160 green screen back in like 2017, when you could get, a green bed sheet for, $10 or something like that. But what was funny is there, after about like a year or so, there were a couple of clones popping up on Amazon, which, some were similar, some were much worse designs, but they were charging like the same price or sometimes more, because it's like it's not exactly a cheap product to make, or the bigger problem is shipping, I guess. You know what I mean? So it's like,
that's
we don't make like novelties necessarily, but like compared to like what they offer. And and when people like with Camlink or whatever, somebody like will post like a quality comparison, and somebody will say like, oh, but this is like $100 webcam versus a $600 camera and Camlink, and that's like we're not denying that you like, if you don't want to spend that money, that's fine. We're not trying to force people into that. We're just trying to show you the quality that you can get. We're not denying that there is that cost difference there. If that makes any sense. That being said, one of the things that I had worked on with a YouTuber on was a video showcasing that you could actually take Camlink and like an old GoPro from eBay, like, and basically get a better quality webcam than what's currently out on the market for the same price as a webcam. And so then when you want to graduate, you just toss the GoPro, like, and then put in like a real camera. True. You know what I mean? Like a modular. So like there are some possibilities there, but yeah, we try to do what we can, and we try to make all that stuff easy. Like I said earlier with ClipGuard, it's just a checkbox. It's like it's on or off. You don't want to get like so laser focused and like the nitty gritty to set your stuff up. As long as it works right.
The more that I think about it, and I'm still hung up on how this didn't break for me. I don't think a single Elgato product has ever broken for me, which is absurdly impressive. When did the green screen come out?
2017.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
I think I got it when it was brand fresh, and it's still good as the day I got it.
Yeah, I think I got one like as soon as it came out, because like for me it was like one of those situations where like I can't like hang it up. Like I have like a fan above me, and like I wanted something that like I don't know whether I want a green screen or not half the time. Like sometimes I have it on for like a week straight, and then sometimes I'm like, nah, and like, you know, so it's like having that flexibility with something I can just like whip up at any time that's right behind me that I, you know, doesn't take up like a ton of space has been a lifesaver.
So
Yeah,
I
versatility
remember
seems to be the name of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if you guys went here. Did you guys go to TwitchCon 2015 at all?
Yeah.
Like the first TwitchCon? This was before I was in marketing. I was working for Elgato for like 3 months or something like that, doing tech support. We were showing off HD60 Pro because this is how old it was, you know, how many years ago it was. And we were showing off an update to our software that allowed chroma key in the software. So we had to buy a green screen. So we bought one of those $40 like little college hamper, like you twist them open and they pop up, right? And
I remember those.
super easy to pop up. Like, you know, I will not deny you're set up in like seconds. Putting it away is the most difficult thing in the world. And I broke it. Because we had to pack it up for TwitchCon. So if you look at any pictures from our booth, it's like the green screen goes like this, and then there's like this weird like bend in the corner because we couldn't like get it into the bag to like bring to the convention center because it was just down the road from us. And so we were just like, this looks like the most busted setup ever. Because like none of us could do it. And I remember we did a video with some streamers at PAX South a couple years back where we did like a traditional green screen with like the backdrop and like 2 light stands with like a crossbar or whatever versus a pop-up one versus Elgato, and just did like a race, and nobody could get the pop-up one closed. We had to leave it there. Like
and so was that when like it dawned on you guys? They're like, you know what? Let's just make our own. Like why are we even messing around with this like crappy green screen? Let's just make our own. Let's just make it better.
Well, yeah, I mean the inspiration behind that was actually kind of interesting because one of our colleagues was just always like, you know what? Nobody's like marketing a green screen towards streamers. If we just put our name on one of these, it'd sell like hotcakes. But like we were always kind of hesitant about that mindset because we didn't just want to be that like we're sticking a sticker on it. Like, you know, there are some companies out there that might do that. It's just like we don't want to enter a market or a product unless we feel like it's bringing an actual value or solving a pain point. You know, the light started with the multi-mount because it's like, you know, we lived in San Francisco at the time. I'm like, man, I wish I could have lights, but I can't fit a light stand behind my desk. Mm-hmm. What if it could clamp? You know what I mean? It's just like, there are those things that kind of give you that excuse to do it. And we were actually at an event where we had noticed basically these retractable signs. Like if you ever like went to like a party, like one of the after parties or whatever, they'll have those little signs that are like you pull up and they stick like a pole in them to keep them up, but then they retract and they're always perfectly straight. And it was just sort of like, couldn't you just make like a really long version of that and just paint it green? Essentially, we actually had one of our partners, his name Duncan. He was so excited because in like 2017, we were at a Discord party, like in SF, and he was like, dude, you will not believe the new green screen that I built. It cost me $700 because I had a special order from this site because they were the only ones that made that size, and I had them paint it green. And he showed me, and I'm like, dude, in like 30 days, we're coming out with this product for $160. And he was so pissed. He was like so proud of it. And I'm just like, why didn't you tell me? I could have let you know.
That's
so painful. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's just like these simple inspirations or just simple concepts of just like, what's a pain point in streaming? How can one solve it? You know, that's that's just the question you have to ask. And it's just like, you know, pain point for audio. It's like routing your audio or just like having that finite control. And it's like, how do you do that without spending so much money? And so this is that point where like we get to definitely be the budget option now in that sense, because it's like you don't have to buy the mixer at all. So it's like this is sort of new territory for us.
Exactly.
You know?
That's hundreds of dollars saved just on like, you know, that extra piece of equipment and still getting that nice solid sound that we're hearing. Have you like, okay, so random question off the top of your head, what is like the kind of most randomest request of a product that you guys have gotten from someone? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm sure you get like a lot of suggestions from the community of like what people want to see. Anything that just like was like, no, we're not making an Elgato, air conditioning, like anything like that.
We've talked about some weird stuff back in the day. Like
You're like, no, we're actually working on all these things. Actually, now that
I mean, some of them are still possible. Some of them are well, like no. I mean, most of the stuff that we actually get from people is pretty good actually. They're people wanted like I remember like LED strips for a green screen or something like that. People wanted like a Stream Deck controlled green screen.
Whoa,
which
wait.
Could be done. Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's not, like these aren't silly ideas. They're cool ideas. You know what I mean?
Like
There's some
auto
that like
retraction and
yeah. I mean, like, but there is some stuff that's like cool, but it's like either like just cost prohibitive or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like
I have seen the idea
we don't
for
necessarily
Elgato Stream Deck foot pedals. I have seen that one before as a request.
I wouldn't consider that silly though.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
I guess one of the ones that I've been pushing that like I still want to do, and I think I'm gonna have the time to finally do it, is I want to make a single Stream Deck button. Think of like the Staples Easy button, but it's just a single Stream Deck action, and sell it for like $20. It doesn't have a label or anything.
You could, with nested folders, you could go really far down in those buttons.
But it can only be folders. It can only be folders. So like when I had pitched this, somebody thought I was like trying to pitch a April Fool's idea. And like if you made it an LCD screen, it just only goes in folders, or it goes in one folder, then it's just the back button, so it only goes back and forth. But the thought was, there are some buttons that you can get on there, like even like a Staples Easy button, that the cost of them is like about a lanyard. Like if you wanted to do like a custom branded lanyard. And so my thought is it could be like a giveaway item at an event. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if it's cheap enough, here's a button. It lets you try out Stream Deck for absolute free. You have one action, but then like if you also made it a decent size, even if you're a big streamer that's got like a Stream Deck XL, you could still have like that cathartic, like that big squishy enter button. That's like a, the tchotchke sold at like ThinkGeek. You know what I mean? But no, so that was like one of my I guess so one of the silly ideas that I had, but keep in mind this was 2016. I think it was when Mixer was first acquired them, because Mixer was going super hard at E3. I had pitched an Elgato fidget spinner. Like this was at like the height though. This was gonna be at the
how did you not make
it was still
one?
fresh enough. Because my boss was like that. He's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever. He asked me, so I had like photoshopped one, and like a couple of months later, he was like, hey, can you send me that mock-up for the fidget spinner you made? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, I have a sales presentation and I want to share with them some of your shitty ideas.
Well,
and I'm like, I'm so attacked right now.
Now you mentioned the button for the cost of a lanyard, and what popped into my head was, what was it called? Was it Life Alert or Lifeline?
Life Alert.
I can't get up.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could have one.
No, Elgato Life Alert.
Yeah, that'd be like a wireless, like it's just like I wear it on a lanyard. It's like a necklace, but I could be like away from my PC and still get a little action.
Well, I mean, with the Elgato's the Stream Deck multi-action, you can program one button to do everything. You get really into it and have this whole extravagant, like one button, just like your lights change and they start like changing color and like they're going crazy, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know what else could happen. You could just create all these on-stream effects, and you could do a lot honestly with one button, with one action.
And it's like, I guess if you kept getting friends who also try to get the freebies or whatever, then you could hook them all up, because there's multi-device support. So if you have a bunch of USB things, and you're just like
Voltron?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, now you could make a Stream Deck though for it would be like really wonky, I guess.
This is my favorite brainstorming session we've had in like a month.
I mean, like there's this video I saw. I mean, man, maybe with this realization, maybe my boss will veto. But anyway, there's this video I saw online of these pet owners who've taught their dogs to like press like Staples Easy buttons that all say a different, like, you know, outside, walk, so they can actually communicate with them. And so they have this
What?
entire like board of these big buttons, and the dog hits it with its paw, which is incredible. But you could kind of do that with these buttons if you had enough USB hubs, I guess.
Mm.
The power. The power. You know, one of
Yeah,
my favorite things that I've seen, you know, talking about the Stream Deck is just the creativity of how people have used the Stream Deck.
Yeah.
And you know, just even the most basic examples, like pictures of production, like behind the scenes, like the production, you know, command center, and then they have like Stream Decks, like, you know, in non-traditional setups, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, so we have been used. So Stream Deck's been used to power the NFL draft, I think the NBA draft, the Grammys, WWDC, like a year or two back, like to go through like the keynote stuff. Then another television show, which I think was NDA, so I don't think I could say what it was, just like a live talk show kind of thing. Yeah, so there is like quite a number of ways that it's used, and it's always funny to see like these random Instagram promoted ads that it's like some other computer product, and you just happen to see a Stream Deck just like in the like just in the space. It's just like, oh, thanks for the advertising, I guess. Just people like, what is this thing?
If it's that good and that ubiquitous, it's gonna show up.
Yeah, but I mean, like this really just shows. I mean, at the end of the day, Stream Deck does nothing, right? Like it controls everything. So like it's whatever the software that we create that goes in line with it. At the end of the day, Stream Deck is a button you press, an easy to see button. So it's like that's the vessel that we deliver our software on. And so, you know, it is really limited only by people's creativity. And like when you said earlier that, you know, our products kind of lower that bar, I do remember a lot of people were concerned that it'd be harder to stand out because all this creative stuff has, you know, been easier. It's sort of like, you know, people used to say like, oh man, my camera quality is so great, this is what separates me. But now that's becoming a lot more accessible due to like cheaper models, and, you know, Camlink just, you know, being readily available. Well, I guess not now because all the work from home, all that inventory is being bought up right now. I'm sorry. But you know, there really is no substitution for creativity. You know what I mean? We want to give people the tools to do so, but like you still need to be able to do it. Like I've come up with two like really cool actions, I think, for Stream Deck multi-actions. One of them is an instant replay action in OBS. So I'd like record the last 15 seconds and then switch to a scene where it shows that file. It's only possible because of one, multi-actions just like doing this sequential stuff, and that OBS is like you can manipulate it enough to do what you want in that way. And then another was kind of in a similar vein, is recording the last 15 seconds, but opening up a Magix Vegas project file with like all these little, like a little lower third and like a little like it makes like square aspect ratio. Because if you if you look in like my documents / video, and that's the file you're telling Vegas to look for, if you replace that file with a different one, Vegas will just pop that new file in there like nothing's changed. And so what I had done was I set a multi-action so it saved the last 15 seconds. It would make it square aspect so it's more social media optimized, and then it would render it out. And like obviously we don't have an integration with Vegas, so like I literally just put in the hotkeys, like hit the alt button, hit down, down, enter, down, type in a string, and then whatever. And you can even tweet it out all with one button. And it's just like, you know, that was a pretty neat idea. And then just like my boss will be like, come up with more of those. And I'm just like, that was really difficult to come up with on its own. Like, I can't churn that stuff out, you know what I mean? But like you look at like Big Cheese, there's a streamer, Big Cheese Kit. He's one of the most like talented people with a Stream Deck I've ever seen. He does these like crazy, like he like makes his camera like times like 30 of him, and he does these big dance moves, and it's just incredibly entertaining to see how he uses it. And it, you know, it like Stream Deck didn't do that for him. You know what I mean? Like it's all him. Stream Deck's just the button at the end of the day.
But it creates the opportunities for creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like that's one of my flaws, is like I don't use the Stream Deck to its full potential. You know, I've got all the stuff set up for it. Like it's great for production for shows, like switching between like the 50 shows that we do. So it's fantastic for like the most obvious things, but it really shines when you get creative about it, when you think outside the box.
Yeah, because when it lowers that bar for difficulty, it makes those options possible where they might not have been before. But at the end of the day, it's all about like, whatever your production is, whether it lets you either heighten it or do the same production you've always been doing, but then there's less room for error.
Right.
You're not like fumbling around, I clicked the wrong thing with my mouse, etc., or which button did I set this to? It's all there. But there's this video, this Intel video on one of their platforms that they had a quote that really resonated with me. And, he was like, when the first smartphone came out, you don't look at that first smartphone and automatically think like, oh, rideshare, like Uber and stuff like that, right?
Right.
It's not like that tandem. But if it wasn't for smartphones, there are those other kind of like subsequential ideas that wouldn't have been able to like will itself into existence. And so it's like, we're trying to like, provide that, the
base, canvas for
like,
the art
boost, like, yeah, exactly. That's a really great way to put it.
Thanks.
Well done.
So
yeah, high five.
So thanks. So I don't know how much you can say or if you can say anything, but what is next for you guys? Anything that you can like tease us in terms of, the wave or anything else you got going on?
I mean, like I said, this isn't going to be the last audio product that we work on. But obviously it's just like we want to take our time and basically collect feedback from this stuff that's already been out there. We have had some questions of people who like kind of notice things in our files or anything like that, but it's not really that big of a deal. We're working on more products. Like we'll have some more stuff this year. One of the things that was kind of funny that my boss tweeted, it kind of like, wow, a lot of people are interested in this. If you actually type in Elgato W into Google, the first result isn't Wave, it's Elgato webcam.
Really?
So we're just like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised.
People really want this. That's like really, I mean, it's surprising that many people Googled it. But it's like, we take in all of that feedback to make more stuff, but it's just like, at the end of the day, these are all, kind of in our list, but we tend not to talk about announced stuff because there are HD6DS Plus, I guess, is a really good example of this. That product was scrapped like 3 or 4 times in its development. And so it's like they were just like, no, it's not really possible. It's like, oh, we actually could be. And it's like, no, it's really problematic. And we don't like to, I guess there's like a business sense in not saying what you're working on. You know what I mean? Like in a public eye, like to your competitors and stuff like that. At least I guess if you're working on like a new product category, if you're just saying like, hey, we're making a microphone, which like there's already a million out there, it doesn't really do that much harm. I guess, but in a business sense, that's whatever. But also we wouldn't ever want to like make a promise of like saying, yeah, we're working on this. And then for some reason it doesn't actually pan out. And then people are like, well, what the heck? Because you sort of lose your credibility that way. So even like with Wave, people are just like, when is Wave coming out? You said spring. It's like, do you know when spring technically ends? That's June like 20th or something. And so like, we just made it. Like when we said spring, like we meant like... We try to give ourselves that breathing room, but at the end of the day, like our goal is to find whatever pain points in a streamer or YouTube creators setup, and figure out those problems we can solve. So it's like when you see a product come from us, you're like, it should be very clear that like this is the problem that we're trying to solve, and so. Whatever that ends up being, that's going to be our sort of philosophy on that. So whether that's like adding to our existing product lines or, creating new categories, that's just always going to be our goals at the end of the day.
Awesome. So where can people find the Wave 1 and 3? Where can they go get one of these?
So right now, Elgato Wave 1 is currently in stock on Elgato.com and Corsair.com. Wave 3, I believe, is sold out at the moment. There is a very big response to our release. We always have this problem. I remember, green screen, I think was the first one where I had experienced it, where it was almost like a Yeezy drop. Every time we would get it in, it would just get snapped up like that. And it just became a running theme. we'll have more, of course, coming in. The channels to check or the stores to check for that would be Best Buy, Amazon, and then the Elgato / Corsair web store. If you see the ability to like pre-order or like add to cart, basically like back ordering the product on like Amazon as you were able to do the other week, I would highly recommend it because Amazon will sometimes make that option available. And if you do that, you're essentially on that like back order list and they hit those people first. And so this was kind of an issue that we were noticing with CamLink, where we were like, okay, we've got a ton coming to Amazon. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. But apparently Amazon would sometimes have that button be available for people. And so the list of people on that back order list was so great that like we would have an order go to Amazon and just completely disappeared, and it never made it to like a public add to cart button. It's always been like back ordered. And
wow.
So yeah, it's been a little nuts. And we've been trying to work with the vendors too on like just limiting orders and stuff like that, because we have noticed like there were some resellers and stuff on eBay, which like makes my blood boil for that kind of stuff. Cause like there, it's like not it's like nobody's more pissed off about that kind of stuff than us. You know what I mean? Because So anyway, those are the three, as stock is constrained, because not only because of that, but it's just like, with the, as people call it, the human malware issue going on right now all over the world. More people are working from home, and that's not just streamers. So like, salespeople are no longer traveling to do sales. They're doing Zoom calls.
Right.
And they want a easy to use, good sounding microphone and like a really professional looking camera. And so like, they're snapping up cam links and, wave microphones and stuff like that. And so we are churning them out as fast as we can.
That's great news. And we are also giving away one right here, right now in our chat. We're actually going to be wrapping that up. So get your exclamation point wave entries in. We will draw the winner. If you are called, you'll have a few minutes to claim, give you guys a chance if you're around. Make sure you stick around to get the final result. You only have to enter wave once. And as part of our partnership with Elgato, we are going to be giving away a lot more cool stuff for you guys over the next few weeks. So if you guys would like to win some cool stuff, make sure to come back to our shows. We do them Monday through Wednesday every single week. So we hope you guys can catch some of our live shows that we do here and win some cool stuff. Who doesn't like winning some awesome Elgato products? I've got like
not
50
Elgato
of
life
them.
alerts, but
I know.
Let's do some shout outs to wrap up here, and as we close out the giveaway, let's close out the show. Steggy, tell us where we can find you, and again, thank you so much for joining us for today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So I spend most of my time in the Twitterverse. So twitter.com/Steggy, and company wise, obviously, twitter.com/Elgato Gaming or Elgato.com. And yeah, basically.
You're the Elgato guy.
I thought Hunter was, by the way. He was pitching it.
Loco, you weren't at PAX East, right? Because I remember seeing Hunter there because of our very memorable hand sanitizer fist bump. That was
we just dumped hand sanitizer on our fists and did a fist bump, and it was explosive. It was.
You had to be safe. You know what I mean? Social distancing.
Absolutely.
I like it. Before it was cool. Yeah, I like it. The last convention of the year, I think. Like pretty crazy.
That's right.
Yeah. God, it's gonna be such a fun convention year too.
I know. Hunter, what are you up to this week? What are you doing on your stream?
No idea.
Okay,
it'll be fun.
Cool. Thank you for your shout out.
Puberty now. I don't know where. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I will be making use of my many varied Elgato products this week. Quite identical to every other week when I use them. Yes, that's big fan. I the one improvement that I need is the key lights.
Yep.
Key lights would just change my game right now.
I got those.
Yeah, see, I think you're using a ring light right now, looks like.
I have one ring light, and then I have two other studio lights creating ambient. Okay. And they're big, and they're warm. And there's no air conditioning in Seattle. It doesn't exist. They don't make it
warm enough to talk about it.
That's
I know, I'm
that's
just
my
like-
only that's my only problem with ring lights is like there are nights if like you just need to get like one light. The problem is besides the heat is that like to get that right thing it's in your eye line and I'm like super sensitive to light.
Oh
And I hate when the light is like that far. Like I have one light that's just pointed at the ceiling and then I have this one light here. It's like as high as possible. So I don't have to see it. But then it also like you can't really see the reflections that much. But
I can see that you have
Weird
anti-glare on your lenses though, which is smart
Do
moves
I?
for a streamer.
oh, these are Warby Parkers. They're so cheap.
Green. There's a little bit of the green. Anyway, that's it for me. You can find me on twitch.tv/thehunterwild.
Awesome. I am Loco. You can find me at twitch.tv/LOWCO. I talk about streaming and I talk about gaming and we do a lot of talking and we talk about cool stuff. So we've been talking about, all the things that have been happening. There's been a lot that's been going on in the streaming, the streaming world. So
Ain't that the truth?
we've been talking a lot about that. So if you guys enjoy that kind of discussion, you can find me over on my channel. And of course, here every single Monday doing Stream Scene, talking about educational topics revolving around streaming. Hunter, I believe we actually know what next week's episode is, right?
Yes. Networking.
Yes.
Networking online.
Because we can't network in person right now.
Exactly, because it's a massive game changer. The fact that we can't do in-person networking and all of our networking has to be restricted to effectively the online space now. We're gonna be covering that full scale next week with Frisk and Nega Oryx.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
So if you guys want to catch that, that'll be next week. And I think it's a perfect topic for this climate since we literally can't network off stream, off in person. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. Otherwise, if you guys are here for the raffle, make sure to keep an eye on the chat. We are drawing the winner in the next few minutes, I think. And you have to be here.
There it is.
There it is. Solid Gun 510. Hopefully you're in chat. Hopefully you're still sticking around. And make sure to say something. And look at that.
There it is.
You're there. You're done. It's easy. We don't have to.
Solid Gun, my
Go
dude.
on. Perfect. Congratulations, Solid Gun.
Congratulations.
We will be giving away another Elgato product later this week. So keep an eye on our Twitter for more information on our next giveaway. Other than that, have a great rest of your Monday. This has been the Stream Scene, and we'll see you tomorrow for our programming. Have a wonderful rest of your night, guys.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys.